Hello, I'm David. Welcome back to our new $100 Note podcast series. The podcast series dedicated to informing you of everything you need to know about the redesigned $100 note. You've joined us for episode 3 in our series, The Art of Banknote Design. I hope you tuned into the earlier episodes in our series where we learned about many of the security features the U.S. government uses to protect the integrity of our currency. We also demonstrated how easy it is to protect yourself from counterfeits by learning to use the note's security features. But did you ever wonder how our currency actually gets designed? Who determines which features should be included in a note's redesign? What considerations need to be taken into account? In today's segment, we'll answer these questions and more. We're going to get the inside scoop on the art of the design in the new $100 note, including how 3 agencies of the U.S. government work together every step of the way in the redesign of U.S. currency. Our special guests today are Mr. Larry Felix, the Director of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, and Mr. Michael Lambert, Assistant Director at the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Today we're going to discuss their agencies' respective roles in the currency redesign process and the collaborative efforts that take place to maintain the integrity of U.S. currency. And now, please welcome Larry and Michael. Hi, David. Hi, Larry.
Okay. Hi, David.
Michael, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Please. So, Larry, overall, what are we talking about when we discuss the design of the note?
We're speaking of the design in the broadest sense of the word when we talk about design of paper currency. Currency design goes deeper than just aesthetics. It's about look and functionality. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing is responsible for manufacturing U.S. currency. And our goal is to provide the Federal Reserve and ultimately the public with the highest quality notes possible to ensure that the notes work first time, every time, in every context.
And Michael, what is the Federal Reserve's role in this process?
Well, David, Congress established the Federal Reserve System in 1913 as the central bank of the United States, and it's composed of a central governmental agency, which is the Board of Governors located in Washington, D.C., and also includes the 12 regional Federal Reserve banks. But to talk specifically about what that has to do with the design process, the Board of Governors is the issuing authority for Federal Reserve notes, which are commonly known as dollars or bills. And what that means, issuing authority, is that we turn the pieces of paper that are produced at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing into lawful money or legal tender. So we consider a wide range of topics at the Federal Reserve, ranging from how much currency we need to have in circulation to meet the demands of the public, but also how to maintain the quality of currency once it's out into circulation. Today we're here to talk about banknote design, which in the United States is a collaborative process. During the design process, the Federal Reserve works with the Treasury and its Bureau of Engraving and Printing and the United States Secret Service to make recommendations to the Secretary of the Treasury for the designs of Federal Reserve notes, because the Secretary has the ultimate authority to approve designs for U.S. currency. And our work has become very challenging over time because we have to develop designs that are both very difficult for the counterfeiter to counterfeit, but really easy for the public to use. And while that sounds simple, it's very complicated. You know, we used to have to just worry about how much we put out into circulation, but today we have to worry about how it functions in a multitude of cash accepting and dispensing machines all over the world.
Larry, can you tell us more about how the security features interact with the design of this new note?
This new 100 note has the most advanced security features, and what's interesting about it is it's now in 3 dimensions. The 3D security ribbon adds another layer, another dimension. It brings depth, it brings complexity. You know, digital technology can faithfully reproduce 2 dimensions, but we have now gone to the 3rd dimension to be able to address that issue. This 3D security ribbon is actually woven into the paper, and it moves as you tilt the note back and forth. The image moves left to right. In addition, we've also added a feature where a bell pops in and out of an inkwell. It's almost like magic. Pops in, pops out. So these are examples of the 2 new features, but we've really retained some of the additional features. We've retained the watermark that you can hold it up to the light. We've retained the embedded security thread. The portrait of Benjamin Franklin remains on the front of the note. On the back of the note, as you can see, we have a new vignette. It's the same image of Independence Hall, but this time it's the rear as opposed to the front. The American symbols of freedom, the phrases on the notes, has the Declaration of Independence, has the quill, the Founding Fathers used the sign, that's all on the note. So although it's a modern note, it's retained images of traditional American icons and on the entire note.
Why not introduce more drastically different designs instead?
That's a really important question, David, so that while the redesign was in development, we conducted extensive qualitative and quantitative research all around the world to better understand how the public interacts with U.S. currency. That research was important because up to 2/3 of all $100 notes circulate outside of our borders. So we wanted to understand the needs of such a diverse user base and then integrate their needs into the new design. So what we learned were three primary things. The first was that people really don't want drastic change. They want to have a few features that they know are good and that they can use. They wanted us to retain sort of legacy features, such as the portrait watermark and the embedded security thread, because many people around the world continue to use them and believe in them, and they continue to be effective. The third piece was that they wanted the security features to allow them to be more discreet, because some of the legacy features require people to actually hold the note up to light.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In some places in the world, that's perfectly fine. They're used to it. They've had watermarks for centuries. But in the United States, people culturally are not as accustomed to that. So we heard from them and from others around the world that finding features that they could use through small movements of their hands, such as the 3D security ribbon that Larry was just talking about, and the bell and the inkwell, accomplish exactly that.
Has computer technology changed the design process?
You know, to some extent, David, it has. The BEP is now using modern pre-press production tools that incorporate technology as a way to improve upon our time-tested engraving techniques. It's a way that sustains the security of our banknotes, but it also adds complexity and additional capability and flexibility in the process of creating designs. The BEP believes that these tools really liberates the engraver. Now, let me be clear. Although we use these tools, it's very important for us to know that we need an engraver. We need the experience of someone to conceptualize how to make a design. But now you have the modern tools that assist an engraver.
Are there any other design or security features we should know about?
So if you look at the back of the note, you would see that we've incorporated a large high contrast numeral. And it's really designed to help the visually impaired people to distinguish their currency quite easily. So this is another attempt at the U.S. government responding to needs that were identified in the research and how we can make this note more functional to users.
It's astonishing that so much planning goes into one little piece of paper. Michael, who participates in this process?
It includes a wide range of people who participate in the process, from the banknote designers and engravers at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, to scientists at the Bureau, as well as the Federal Reserve Board and the United States Secret Service, along with a number of policy makers among the three agencies.
Why so much excitement over the new $100 note?
Well, David, the $100 note is the highest value denomination of U.S. currency in circulation. And there are currently approximately 6.5 billion $100 notes being used all over the world. As I said earlier, the Federal Reserve estimates that as much as 2/3 of $100 notes are circulating outside of our borders. And where currency flows go, unfortunately, counterfeiting tends to follow. This is why we took the time we needed to get the new design right, and why we're working together to educate the global public about the changes that we've made to the design of the new $100 note, and to educate about the security features and how the public should use them.
That's right, Michael. Just remember, it takes only a second, just a second, to check to know if your banknote is real. Just flick your hands and you can tell that it's real.
It's fascinating. It's clear that this is a team effort. Larry, thank
Pleasure.
you. Michael, thank you so much for coming to see us. We appreciate having you here to provide us with these valuable insights into the process behind the development of the new $100 note. This information and more on how to authenticate your $100 note can be found on the website at www.newmoney.gov. And now it's time to serve up some trivia on the $100 Did You Know segment. Let's talk about printing your money. Does it only happen at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Washington, D.C.? Well, back in 1985, the Treasury Department evaluated long-term currency and business continuity requirements and decided it needed another site in addition to the D.C. facility to produce currency. So, the Treasury told the Bureau to find a site west of the Mississippi for a second facility. 83 cities submitted proposals, and 11 cities were selected as finalists. Each offer was carefully reviewed, and in the end, the best proposal, which included an optimum combination of land, production facility, and security elements, was submitted by the city of Fort Worth. The Fort Worth location, known to us as the Western Currency Facility, occupies 100 acres of land 15 miles north of the city of Fort Worth, and officially opened on April 26th of 1991. So take a closer look at the currency in your pocket. If you see a little FW located in the upper left corner of the note, to the right of the numeral 100, then that note was produced in the Fort Worth facility. The new $100 note we're talking about in these podcasts marks the very first time that the facilities in both Washington, D.C. and Fort Worth have printed $100 notes. So look closely. When the new $100 note begins circulating, you may see some with the FW and some without, depending on where it was manufactured. Be sure to explore the other episodes in this series and check out newmoney.gov, the official site for information about the new $100 note. Until next time, remember, it only takes a few seconds to check the new $100 note. Know its features, know it's real.